It's the International Soccer Preview. We are Soccerphiles Canada. Welcome to Series 30, looking at the players of the 2025 Gold Cup. This episode is looking at the players of Dominican Republic. Part 1, the candidates. Here we go. Hello and welcome to the International Soccer Preview by Soccerphiles Canada. I'm Kevin and this is Series 30 on the players of the 2025 CONCACAF Gold Cup. This episode covers Dominican Republic's players. Just a note on where we're at in our media casts. Series 21 to 27 dealt with the World Cup 2026 qualifying. Series 21, for example, is covering the Asian region, and we actually did preview the preliminary round there. We were hoping to do more previewing for the World Cup 2026 qualifying, but life got busy. Nevertheless, we still have hopes of covering it, but we'll now have to do it mostly through reviews. So the past, present, and future media cast that we produced in spring 2024 is still actually is still current. It outlines the World Cup 2026 qualifying procedure in each region, and we will add a link to that media cast in the show notes. The date is a bit outdated, and the schedule that we outline there will have to change, but the qualifying procedure information is pretty useful. Anyway, we'll come back to World Cup 2026 qualifying after our current focus, which is the 2025 Gold Cup, and this episode on Dominican Republic's players. So we're doing this media cast in two parts. Part 1 here is a look at the candidates of the squad and their likelihood of making it. We examine the participation of players in games over the recent period, as well as a couple of other factors, and we categorize them into definite, likely, possible but unlikely, seemingly off the squad, and definitely off the squad, or for longer period they've been off the squad. So we're only looking at their likelihood of actually being selected for the final squad. We'll go into more details on the players we think likely to reach the final squad, and then less, perhaps even just the names of players unlikely to get there. Part 2 will come out when the squad lists are released and the final squad selected. That'll probably be in early June. And at that time, we'll go back over the list that we create here to see who made it and who didn't. And we'll cover a couple of other things like injuries, surprise selections, and who we think are going to be starters. So this episode has 3 sections. Section 1, where we look at some general information on the team. Section 2, we're going to cover the main candidates in each position and their likelihood of making it. And section 3 is just kind of a conclusion where we summarize. We'll focus on any injuries to keep an eye on, and so on. All right, let's begin then with section 1, some general information on the squad. Well, for most teams, we're doing kind of retirements of veterans of the squad, but we really don't have any for Dominican Republic. They haven't been in a tournament. This is their first one, so there's not much point in that. Let's move on to the second order of business here, the recent games. And so we are going to examine the participation of players just from the beginning of 2024. But in terms of the position, each position will be examining it from the start of after the 2023 Gold Cup, so in the fall of 2023. The first thing we'll look at then is the 2023-24 Nations League group stage. Well, that's in the fall of 2023, and just in the fall because Dominican Republic didn't make it to the finals, which were in March of 2024. Instead, in March of 2024, they played 2 friendlies. One was against Aruba and the other against Peru. We're not really interested in the results here. In June of 2024, they played the 2026 World Cup qualifying, the first matches there of the first round, the two matches there, and the second set of matches are yet to happen. They'll be in June of 2025, one of the upcoming games that we will mention soon. So 2 games there in June 2024, World Cup qualifiers. Then 6 more games for the 2024-25 Nations League group stage. 6 games between December and November 2024, 2 games in each month there. And finally, again, they didn't make the final, so March 2025 is friendlies again, this time both of them with Puerto Rico. And we should mention that a bit of experimentation in the last game there against Puerto Rico at the end. Dominican Republic is bringing in or bringing back some players, and looks like they decided to try them out in that second game against Puerto Rico. Okay, let's go to their formations in this period. So this is actually more straightforward than usual. It is 75% of the time a 3-2-2-2-1 formation. So that's 3 central defenders, 2 defensive midfielders, 2 wingers. So there are no central midfielders. The second 2 there is wingers, usually played by the right and left defenseman pushing up. Then 2 attacking midfielders and 1 forward. Otherwise, they use a 4-3-3 formation twice, just 2 of the 16 games there, and then a different formation in 2 others. So we'll constantly refer to those formations, but I would say keep the 3-2-2-2-1 in mind for Dominican Republic. That's used in 12 of 16 games, or 75% of the time. Okay, let's go to the last order of business here, upcoming games. So I did refer to it, World Cup qualifiers. The second set of games, so games 3 and 4, are in June. So they play on June 5th, Guatemala away, and then at home they play Dominica. That's June 5th in the first game, June 9th in the second game. So hopefully we will have a look at those games to see the lineups, and that may help us decide who the starters are. Not really going to talk about that much in part 1. Well, what am I doing on the graphics here? Okay, we're not really going to talk about starters much in part 1. We're more concerned with players' chances of making the final squad. So let's move on to part 2. And we begin with the manager then, and this is blessedly straightforward. Just one name to look at, and that is Marcelo Nevelev. If you're looking at the YouTube version of this, the fact that his name is in light gray suggests he has never been through a tournament, and really not that much experience as an actual manager. He does have a lot of experience more as an administrator. I won't go into too much detail, but he's been assistant manager for a couple of teams, general manager for a couple of teams, and a scout for the U.S. national team. He was a manager for a few teams, especially in Bolivia. That was in 2011 to 13. He was the manager of 2 Bolivian teams. Most recently, he was manager of Orlando City B, their B team from 2019 to 2023, and then moves directly to become an international manager. So Marcelino Nevelev is, oh my goodness, I'm not sure I mentioned his name yet. Marcelino Nevelev is his name, and he is Argentinian. And he came in January 2023. So really before our analysis begins, because we're going from the Gold Cup, he has remained the manager throughout. And well, he got them to their first Gold Cup. So can't be criticized too much. Marcelo Nevelev, then the manager leading them through this tournament, and we would probably put him at the likely to definite level. I don't think they would change at this point. Okay, let's move on to our Goalkeepers, and we'll begin by introducing the candidates. Well, all of these names are going to be in light grey because Dominican Republic haven't been in a tournament, a regional tournament. Anyway, definite candidate, Xavier Valdez is our first. We have two likely candidates, the first of whom is Miguel Lloyd, and secondly, Pascual Ramirez. And then we have a player seemingly off the squad in Johan Guzman. So our pattern has to be briefly give a bio on these players without going into much detail. He has not been selected for the last 8 matches, Johan Guzman. So we'll get more information if he is selected for the final squad. But that's as much as we'll say for now. The final one, seemingly off the squad, is Noam Baumann. So these players will be involved in the last couple of years, but don't look like they're going to be selected. Noam Baumann last appeared for the national team in March of 2024. Okay, let's go back and take a closer look at the candidates who we do think likely. Xavier Valdez is just 22 years old. He's been with Dominican Republic since 2023 with 13 caps for the team, and he was born in the USA and plays his club soccer in the USA, currently with Huntsville City since 2025, and then Nashville for a year before that. Xavier Valdez got his first appearance in June of 2023 and had started the last 8 of their 12 games, so came in very quickly as a starter there. 8 of their last games since the start of 2024, and he was on the bench for 4 matches, but those were the first 4 matches, so kind of quickly moving into the starting position is Xavier Valdez. The first of the 2 likely candidates is Miguel Lloyd. He has 52 caps for the national team since 2004. I have his birth year as 1982, which would put him at 43 years old, and that may be the case. I was just a bit reluctant to say it because I could hardly believe my eyes when I saw it. But he has been with the national team since 2004, so that does stand to reason. He's currently with Chibao in Dominican Republic since 2019, but he's played for a few Caribbean teams in Trinidad and Tobago and in Panama. His biggest club was Racing Club in Argentina in 2005, around 2005. So Miguel Lloyd has started 3 of their 12 games from the start of 2024, and he was on the bench for 9 others, including the last 8 matches there. So Miguel Lloyd likely to make the squad, but not likely to be the starter by the looks of it. The other likely candidate is Pascual Ramirez, and he is 28 years old. Doesn't have any caps for the national team and plays in Dominican Republic for Mocha FC. He got his first appearance on the bench in September 2024, and as we said, didn't start any games, but he was on the bench for all 8 matches. So, the 3 goalkeepers that they'll probably bring to the cup seem fairly set. So that's the goalkeeper situation. We could probably predict the starter with ease there, but that is not what we're doing in this one. Part 2 for that. Let's go on to central defenders, to defenders. We do have a category for versatile defenders, and a couple of these actually are quite versatile, but we didn't put any players there. Let's go through the candidates first. Let's take a look at the position first because it is significant. The first 2 games of each Nations League group stage, so that would be the September games in both 2023 and 2024, have 4-man backlines. In other words, that's 2 central defenders with a left back and a right back. However, in most other games, it's a 3-man backline. We're not dead sure about the 2 last games in March 2025 because our main source doesn't list the formation doesn't show the formation, and the other sources kind of contradict each other. But it does seem to be a two-man back line in March of 2025. Anyway, for the most part, we'll be looking at a three-man back line, and that makes this a little difficult to look at basically one position, three positions at once. Anyway, let us forge on. Begin by introducing the candidates. The first one is at the definite level, and it's Louis De Luca. And then we have several likely candidates. The first one, Cesar Garcia. And then we're putting left back Michael Sambataro here as a central defender. We'll talk about his role as a central defender here, and then his role as a left back when we get to that position. So we'll kind of introduce him twice because he plays quite a bit in both. Next, we have Christian Scheusinger. I should have practiced his name because it's very difficult, but it looks like Scheusinger as a likely candidate. Noah Dollemeyer is the fifth one, and then Miguel Angel Beltra is also a central defender. So 5 likely candidates, which, given they have a three-man central defense, is kind of makes sense. We do have João Urbaez coded as a central defender, but we're moving him to right back since that's where he's played. So we'll go on to the possible candidates. The first is Brian Lopez, and then Alexander Vidal, Alexander Romero. Those three. And I'm actually going to dispense with no, I'll get to it later. Okay, and then possible but unlikely, I will dispense with. That is Brian Adiman. He did feature early, I think, in 2023, and no, that doesn't make sense because I think he got his first cap in 2024 there. But anyway, he has not appeared for the last 6 matches, so we consider him unlikely to be selected for the squad, especially with the number of defenders they've got. Anyway, if he does come back, I think it's a bit harsh to put him as unlikely because he did start 2 games, but we will introduce him in more detail if he's selected for the squad. Let's go back and look at these players. Keep in mind we're doing 3 positions at once here, so it's a bit of a long list for central defenders. The first one, Louis De Lucas, is 31 years old, and he's been with Dominican Republic since 2018 with 23 caps and 1 goal. He has a very long resume. He's played for a lot of teams, currently with Nea Salamis in Cyprus since 2025, and he played for Ashdod in Israel before that. Other countries he's played in are Scotland, Finland, Spain, and he's also been in the Dominican Republic, mostly Spain, though, until 2020, when he kind of moved to various countries. Okay, Louis De Lucas started 9 of their 12 games in this period from the start of 2024, and he was not selected for 3 games, including the last match. Again, we're going to see that last match as a bit experimentative, so we don't consider it a big strike against him. So Louis De Luca, the only definite candidate here. The first of the 5 likely candidates is Cesar Garcia, and he is 32 years old. I should say, if they're born in the early part of the year, between January and May 8th is the date today, he will be, we will be a year off on the year, but we'll be more precise in part 2. Okay, anyway, Cesar Garcia since 2010 for Dominican Republic with 57 caps and 4 goals, a real veteran for the team. He plays for Orient Petrolero in Bolivia since 2023 and has played with Real Santa Cruz in Bolivia before that. Otherwise, he was in the Dominican Republic for most of his career, except for a short stint with Puerto Rico Islanders in the USA League. Okay, Cesar Garcia started 5 of their 12 games from the start of 2024. He subbed in for 1 and was not selected for 6 others, including the last 4 matches. So he was actually a fairly common name in 2023, as we'll see, but seems to have drifted off the team towards the end here. Okay, third up is second of the likely candidates, Michael Sambataro. As I said, he's a left back, and he actually does play all of their games, or yes, I think it's all of them, when they do have a left back position. In this 3-man defense, though, he's often or he plays on the left side of that 3-man defense. So Michael Sambataro is 23 years old, and he has 14 caps and 1 goal since 2023. He plays in the Dominican Republic now since 2024 for Cibao, but was with Argentinian teams, Guimes in Argentina before that, on Hurricane 2. Or Hurricanes B team in Argentina. He was born in Argentina there. And first appeared on the bench in June of 2023. And as I said, I didn't say it of him, but he too, like Cesar Garcia, was a regular starter in 2023. He started 7 of their 12 games from the start of 2024, as well as subbing in for 1 and being on the bench for 2. But he was not selected for 2 games, and those were the last 2 matches. So there is competition coming in from these teams, probably from they seem to be, like most Caribbean teams, scraping the files or the passports of people who qualify for the team. So they're finding some talent in Europe with a connection to Dominican Republic or eligibility for Dominican Republic. So we see some of these players being challenged for their positions. In fact, one of those players that I've just mentioned is Christian Scheusinger. He is 31 years old, but quite new to the national team since 2022, but has amassed 10 caps for the team. So he plays for Floridsdorfer in Austria since 2025 and was with Differdange in Luxembourg, not sure I'm saying that right, before that, and in Slovenia before that. So a bit of a globetrotter there, or a Euro-trotter. Christian Scheusinger actually did get his first cap in 2022. Not his first cap. Yes, his first cap in 2022, but he was off the team for 2 years and returned in June of 2024 and then started 7 of their 10 games. But he was injured for the last 2 matches. That's something we'll talk about at the end. And he was not selected for 1 other match. So Christian Scheusinger coming back into the team and really seizing the reins there. However, his knee injury will be a concern. We'll talk about it in section 3. The fourth likely candidate is Noah Dollemeyer. He is 26 years old, but with just 1 cap and no goals for the Dominican Republic. That first cap earned in 2025. So another bit of a latecomer to the team there. He is born in the USA and plays for El Paso Locomotive in the USA since 2023. And he was with LAFC, Los Angeles Football Club, sometimes with the A team and sometimes the B team there. Dollemeyer got his first cap in March of 2025, just recently. So again, one of those players kind of challenging the more experienced players on the team. He started both of the remaining games there in March 2025, so making it a bit difficult to predict which players they'll go with. The final likely candidate is Miguel Angel Beltra, and he is 22 years old. with 4 caps since 2024, and he plays for a small team in Spain, Azuqueca, in Spain since 2022. He got his first appearance on the bench for Dominican Republic in March 2024, Miguel Angel Beltra, and started 2 of the remaining 12 games, as well as subbing in for 2. But he was on the bench for 6 and only 2 matches that he was not selected for. So though not necessarily a starter, we consider him a likely candidate to make the squad. Okay, on to the possible candidates. The first is Brian Lopez, and he is 26 years old with 11 caps for the national team since 2019, and he plays for Royal Paris in Bolivia, having also played with Real Santa Cruz in Bolivia, a teammate then of I believe it was a teammate of Cesar Garcia for a while there. Brian Lopez was born in Spain, and he started 1 of their 12 games from the start of 2024. That was, in fact, the first game in 2024, the March friendly with Aruba. And he was on the bench for 4 matches and not selected for 7 others. So just a possible candidate, Brian Lopez. And he does appear in the narrative, I believe, but the next 2 don't, Alexander Vidal and Alexander Romero. So I'll be a bit briefer here. Alexander Vidal, born is 29 years old, and only has 5 caps for the national team since 2015. So he kind of has a passing relationship with them. He plays in the Dominican Republic, and in fact, Alexander Vidal returned after an 8.5-year absence in March 2025. Didn't start either of those games, but was subbed in for 1, but then not selected for the last match. So his recent participation making him a possible candidate, Alexander Vidal. Alexander Romero is the last player we'll look at here, also a possible candidate. 23 years old with no caps for the national team, plays in the Dominican Republic and got his first appearance on the bench in 2024. But Alexander Romero started none of their games, but was on the bench for 4 and not selected for 8 others. So I think I failed in making it briefer than the other ones. A bit hard to tell who are the top candidates right now with these new players coming in. But again, more of a matter for part 2 of the mediacast, and let us move on to left backs. Fortunately, this is only 1 position, so it'll be a bit easier to manage. We'll just talk about the position, though. It exists in only 4 of the 16 games since the start of 2023, and it's much more often a 3-man central defense, in which case this position becomes left winger. And this is true on the right side as well. So we will be talking about the left winger position here as well. Let's look at the candidates, and we have a definite candidate in Junior Firpo, although he more often plays upfield. Nevertheless coded as a left back. We have Michael Sambataro, as a likely candidate. We saw him in central defense, but we'll talk about his role here as a left back. Then we have Juan Familia Castillo, also a likely candidate. And then possible candidate Alex Siriaco. And then 2 more players, one at the possible but unlikely level, so I'll deal with them here. Nelson Lemaire has no caps for the national team and was not selected for the last 10 matches. And Manny Rodriguez has 7 caps for the national team, but last appeared in 2023. Okay, let's look at the main candidates here. Junior Firpo is 29 years old, and he has just 11 caps and 4 goals for Dominican Republic. His first cap was in 2024. So it looks like they kind of found him in the files and he joined the team recently. Junior Firpo currently plays for Leeds United in England since 2021. He was with Barcelona in Spain for 2 years before that, and Real Betis prior to that. So a much stronger resume than many of the players on this team. He got his first cap in March of 2024 and then went on to start 11 of their remaining 12 games, not selected for one match. So they're certainly happy to bring him into the team. That's Junior Firpo. Okay, let's look at the likely candidates. The first, Michael Sambataro. I've given his bio information already. If you recall, he was born in Argentina, but is recently playing in Dominican Republic. 14 caps and 1 goal. And yeah, well, we won't repeat things. He starts as both a left back and a central defender. We'll talk about him in the summary of the position here. Let's move on to Juan Familia Castillo. And he is new to the team since 2025 with just 2 caps there. And he is 25 years old and plays for Walwick in the Netherlands, where he was born. But he was with Chelsea in England from 2009 to 2023. He was loaned out by Chelsea. Yes, he didn't get any starts with Chelsea in his 4 years with them. And he has played a lot for the Netherlands youth system, youth teams, 49 games and 9 goals for the youth club there, youth clubs. In terms of Dominican Republic, though, Familia Castillo got his first cap in March of 2025 and then started both of their games. So again, one of the players coming in and challenging the veterans in the position. And then finally, we have possible candidate Alex Siriaco, and he is 21 years old, no caps for the national team, and plays in Finland for a team whose name I will not dare to pronounce because it's too many consonants all in a row. Suffice to say, he was born in born in Finland and has played for Finnish teams. He returned actually after a 13-month absence in November 2024 and didn't start any of their remaining 4 games, but he was on the bench for the first 2 and not selected for the last 2. So kind of up in the air for Alex Siriaco, and we'll see if he makes the squad. Okay, we move on to right backs, and we don't need to summarize the position. Again, it's same as the left. Most of the time, it's a right winger. Let's look at the candidates, and we have likely candidate, no definite candidates here. Likely candidate, João Urbaez. We mentioned him in central defense because he's coded as a central defender, but he only played as a right defender or a right winger in this period, so we moved him. Then we have 2 possible candidates, Guillermo de Pena and Ernesto Trinidad. And then we have 2 possible but unlikely candidates. The first is Charbel Webb, that's spelled W-H-E-B-E, Charles Webb. And he was not selected for the last 8 matches. He does come up in the narrative, as does Jeremy Baez, who played early on in this period, but was not selected for the last 6 matches. So both of those games not called up for, both of those players not called up for recent games. We also have 2 players seemingly off the squad. Jose de la Cruz, not selected for the last 8 matches. Honestly, I can't recall why we have Webb a category above him, but we have a reason for it. And also seemingly off the squad, Joan Mello, who we did see in the 3-man defense, but he also was not selected for the last 8 matches. So all 4 of those players in a similar boat, not selected since the summer, probably of mostly since, oh my God, I'm just losing myself. Let me take a breath. Okay, all four of those players not selected for quite a while here. Okay, let's go to a look at the players. So the first one, the likely candidate, João Urbaez, is 23 years old, and he's been with Dominican Republic since 2022 with 9 caps. He plays for Leganes. In Spain, sometimes with their B team there since 2024, and then was with Alcorcon B team in Spain before that. So Urbaez returned after a 19-month absence in October 2024 and started 5 of their remaining 6 games. And he subbed in for the other. So came into the squad recently and has seized control of the position. First possible candidate is I'm going to actually move Trinidad Ernesto ahead here. So is Ernesto Trinidad, I should say. Ernesto Trinidad is 29 years old, and he has 10 caps for the national team. He plays in Dominican Republic, and he also returned after an absence, a 2-year absence in March of 2025, and started one of the 2 games in March of 2025, subbing in for the other. So making a comeback is Ernesto Trinidad. The other possible candidate is Guillermo de Pena. He's just 22 years old with 3 caps since 2022. Also plays in Dominican Republic for Moca. And he too returned after an absence, a 15-month absence in his case, and didn't start any of the games, but was subbed in for 1 and on the bench for 3, but not selected for 4 others, including the last 2 matches. So Guillermo de Pena certainly less likely than Ernesto Trinidad, who has that recent selection. We move on to midfield, and I can promise it gets a bit simpler from here. The defense was quite complex there, but here we are with the midfield. So we do have a category for versatile midfielders. Some of the attacking midfielders are fairly versatile, but we did keep them in one spot. So let's begin with a general overview of the midfield then. In their predominant 3-2-2-2-1 formation, then there are 2 defensive midfielders, but no central midfielders. And that's true in the single use of the 4-2-1-3, 4-2-3-1 formation there too. They did use a stopper once in the 4-1-4-1 formation. That's like a defensive midfielder. And then we do have a 3-man midfield in 2 uses of the 4-3-3 formation. Okay, and then the last 2 games are a bit unclear, so we'll just look at the names there. But defensive midfielder is used the most, and let's begin with the candidates. And we have actually attacking midfielder Heinz Morschel. We've moved to here because most of his games were played here, and he is a likely candidate. And then we have Angel Montes de Oca. Montes de Oca there as a likely candidate, and also Lucas Breton is likely. And then we go all the way down to seemingly off the squad, Daniel Flores. He had been fairly regular in 2023, but now he seems to be off the squad, not selected for the last 8 matches. So Daniel Flores, we'll talk about him more if he is selected for the final squad. Let's take a look, though, at the candidates then. Heinz Morschel is 28 years old, and he has 15 caps and an impressive 7 goals, although none during this period. He's been with the national team since 2023, 15 caps and 7 goals. Well, I don't have him scoring any goals here, but oh, yes, I do. I have him scoring 5 of their 27 goals. Sorry about that. Heinz Morschel plays for Vizela in Portugal since 2024 and was with Újpest in Hungary for a year before that, and then with Dynamo Dresden in Germany in 2021 and 2022. And he started 9 of their 12 games, did Heinz Marshall. 9 of their 12 games from the start of 2024. He was on the bench for 1, but not selected for the last 2 matches. Last 2 matches there. Otherwise, he would have been a definite candidate. Next, Angel Montes de Oca is just 22 years old, 5 caps since 2024 for Dominican Republic, and he plays in Dominican Republic with one of their main teams, Chibao, there since 2024. He got a single appearance on the bench in June of 2023 and then returned after a 15-month absence in September 2024 and started 2 of their remaining 8 games, as well as subbing in for 3 and being on the bench for 3. So ever since his return to the team, he has always been called up. That's Angel Montes de Oca. Finally, we have Lucas Breton. He's very young, just 19 years old, but 8 caps for the team since 2024. He plays for Malaga's B team in Spain since 2024 and was with Chibao in Dominican Republic before that. So he got his first appearance on the bench in March of 2024. He only started 1 of their remaining 12 games, but he was subbed in for 7 and on the bench for 2. So just 2 matches that Lucas Breton was not selected for. So probably not a starter there, but we think he's likely to be selected to the squad. Before reviewing the position, we'll move on to players coded as central midfielders. And we begin with the definite candidate, Jean Carlos Lopez, captain of the team. And we also have one possible candidate, or one candidate at the possible level, Omar de la Cruz. So let's take a look at those players. Jean Carlos Lopez, a real veteran with the team, 63 caps and 7 goals since 2013, and he's 32 years old. And he plays for Chibao in Dominican Republic, was with Real Santa Cruz in Bolivia before that in 2024. That's the 3rd player we've seen playing for Real Santa Cruz, so they must have some type of an arrangement with them. But otherwise, in Dominican Republic, his whole career. And he's easy to summarize because he started all 12 of their games since the start of 2024. So John Carlos Lopez, a definite candidate. The possible candidate is Omar de la Cruz, just 24 years old, and not just, he is 24 years old. Been with the team since 2024 with 2 caps for Dominican Republic, and he plays for Chibao in Dominican Republic since 2025. But actually, he was born in Spain, and before coming to Dominican Republic, he played for Patriotas in Colombia, and then in Spain before that, a fairly small team, Peña Deportiva. In Spain before that. So De La Cruz got his first appearance on the bench in March 2025. So another of those players coming in right at the end. He didn't start either of the remaining 2 games, but was subbed in for 1 and on the bench for the other. So Omar de la Cruz, a possible candidate. All right, we can move right up to the attacking midfield then. And we'll talk about the position here. We kind of have our own way of coding this now. So Soccer Files has come to see, or has come to basically create the left attacking and right attacking positions. And it depends on the formation. So it'll be an attacking winger in something like a 4-4-2 formation. Or the 4-1-4-1 formation, for example, an attacking midfielder in the 4-2-3-1 formation, or in the 3-2-2-2-1 formation that they so often use, or in the odd 4-3-3 formation, a left forward. So 2 games, it's a left forward. So that is the way we look at it. And generally, it's the same player or the same players occupying those positions. It's just dependent on the formation And as we said, in Dominican Republic's predominantly 3-2-2-2-1 formation, we'll be talking about left and right attacking midfielders. Okay, we begin on the left side, and we have Ronaldo Vasquez. And if you're looking at the YouTube version, you'll see that most sources are coding these players as left winger. So I just write down what they're coded as, but we would put them as left attacker. Ronaldo Vasquez is a definite candidate. We have Rafael Nunez. He's coded as a left winger, but we've moved him to the right because he doesn't appear on the left in this period. We have two likely candidates. The first one, Edarlin Reyes, who we saw as a left winger there in that 3-2-2-1 formation. And he's coded as a left winger, so nothing wrong with that. And finally, Juanca Pineda, also a likely candidate. Not finally, I made a mistake. We also have Edison Azcona, coded as a left winger, but we also moved him to the right side because he plays there a bit more. So we'll meet Rafael Nunez and Edison Azcona a bit later. We don't have any players below that level, even at the possible level, so just these three players. And let's look at a definite candidate, Ronaldo Vasquez. So he is 29 years old. No, he isn't. He is 26 years old, but he's been with Dominican Republic since 2017 with 36 caps and 7 goals. So one of the longer-term players there. He plays in Azerbaijan right now for Sumgayit. I did brave pronouncing that one, and Azerbaijanis are probably mad at me for doing that. But there he is, Ronaldo Vasquez, since 2025, and played in Bolivia and Spain and Israel, but also quite a bit in the Dominican Republic, Vasquez. He has started 9 of their 12 games since the start of 2024, as well as subbing in for 2 and on the bench for 1 other. So Ronaldo Vasquez is a definite candidate, and we'll see that he does move around at least the attacking part of the field a bit there. So does our first likely candidate, Edarlin Reyes. As we saw him when we were talking about left backs pushing up to the left wing. That's when we saw Reyes earlier in this media cast. So here we introduce him. Edarlin Reyes is 28 years old and has been with the team since 2018. 34 caps and 4 goals for Dominican Republic. He plays for Arsenal Tula in Russia since 2025, and with the team in Kazakhstan before that. He's also played in Libya, Bolivia, and UAE, and in the USA a little bit too. So he got their only red card. That actually comes up in the summary during this period. Reyes started 3 of their 12 games from the start of 2024, as well as subbing in for 5. He was suspended because of that red card for 1 and not selected for 3 others, including the last match. So Edarlin Reyes, a likely candidate here. The other likely candidate is Juanca Pineda, and he is 25 years old with 11 caps for the national team since 2021, and he plays for Beroe in Bulgaria, and also played for Guadalajara in Spain before that, a couple of clubs in Spain there. Pineda only started 1 of their 12 games from the start of 2024, but he was subbed in for 6 and on the bench for 1. However, he was not selected for 4 matches, but those were the first 4 matches in 2024. And so we consider him a likely candidate because he's been selected ever since. All right, those are the 3 candidates. Let's move over to the right side, though, and look at the candidates, the right attacking position. The first candidate is at the likely level, and it's Rafael Nunez. And then we also have Peter Federico. Peter Federico, also sometimes called Peter Gonzalez. There, both of those likely candidates. We have a possible candidate in Edison Azcona. And both he and Nunez are coded as left wingers, but we move them over to the right here. Finally, we have a player seemingly off the squad, Noend Lorenzo. Noend Lorenzo last appeared for the team in November 2023. Okay, let's look at these players. So Rafael Nunez has been with Dominican Republic since 2002. Sorry, what am I talking about? He was born in 2002, so he's 23 years old. He's been with them since 2022 with 11 caps and 3 goals. And he plays for Elche in Spain since 2023, but is actually on loan to Cartagena in Spain since 2025. And he was actually born in the Dominican Republic, but has played all of his club soccer in Spain. He was part of Atletico Madrid's youth system there. And he also played for Atletico Ottawa in Canada, loaned to them, is Rafael Nunez. So he returned after a 15-month absence in June 2024 and started 5 of their remaining 10 games, as well as subbing in for 2 and being on the bench for 1. So just 2 matches since his return that he wasn't selected for. So Rafael Nunez, a likely candidate. The other likely candidate, Peter Federico Gonzalez, is 23 years old. He's been with the Dominican Republic since just recently in 2025 with 2 caps. So he plays for Getafe in Spain since 2024 and Real Madrid in Spain before that. So very good club affiliations there. He was loaned to Valencia also, and it's a product of Real Madrid's youth system there. He was born in Spain. And he actually did play 3 games over his 3 years with Real Madrid, Peter Federico, and he got his first cap for Dominican Republic in March 2025 and started both of their remaining 2 games there. So a bit of a catch there for Dominican Republic, as we said, like a lot of Caribbean teams, kind of looking abroad to see who qualifies for their team. The possible candidate is Edison Azcona, coded as a left attacker, but playing on the right in this period. Azcona is just 22 years old, and he has been with Dominican Republic since 2021 with 13 caps and no goals. And he's played at least his recent club soccer in the USA. I think he was born in Dominican Republic, but plays in the USA for Las Vegas Lights since 2024. And then into Miami for 3 years before that. He was loaned out by Inter Miami to a couple of teams. Edison Azcona started 3 of their 12 games from the start of 2024. He was subbed in for 3, and being quite young, he was with the under-23 team for 2 games and then not selected for 4 matches, but that includes the last 2 matches. So a bit of uncertainty there at the end. Those are the candidates. And we move on to central attacking midfield. And just to summarize, the position is rarely used. In the 3-2-2-2-1 formation, it's not used. Only in the 4-2-3-1 and the 4-1-4-1 formations, each of those used just once. And perhaps also used in the March 2025 friendlies, which we'll also mention. Let's, look at the candidates, but really there are no candidates here. Heinz Marshall is coded as an attacking midfielder, but we've seen that he's mostly playing as a defensive midfielder in this period. Otherwise, we have 2 players seemingly off the squad. The first is Carlos Heredia, who last appeared for the team in June of 2023. And then we have Jason Joseph Yambatas. I think he's sometimes called Jason Joseph. and he did not appear for the last 8 matches. So we won't go into detail on them unless they're selected for the final squad. But that is it for the attacking midfield, and we move on to what will be our last category, the forwards. We have no secondary strikers, so we go directly to forwards here, and we've mentioned our definite candidate, Dorney Romero, sometimes showing up as a right attacker, but usually as a centre forward. We also have Eric Japa, but also sometimes called Eric Paniagua. He's a possible candidate. Oops. Put the wrong thing on the graphic there. And then we have the interesting case of a couple of interesting cases. Mariano Diaz as a possible candidate, and Carlos Ventura as a possible candidate. We have possible but unlikely, so I'll deal with these players in terms of biography as we go. Christian Ortiz, born in the USA but not selected for the last 6 matches, and he hadn't started any matches either. He's just 18 years old, so possibly a candidate for the future, Christian Ortiz, but looks unlikely for this tournament. And then seemingly off the squad, Luis Espinal, last played for the team in March of 2024. Even though Espinal has a good goals record, 5 caps in 12 games there. And the last one we'll talk about in actually a bit more detail of Ricky Alba, simply because it's an interesting story. So he's played 4 times for the Dominican Republic, twice as a left winger, once as a left attacking midfielder, and once as a forward. In terms of his club club play, he moves around a lot. Actually, doesn't stay with any team for more than a few months, other than Fredrikstad, where he spent 5 years. Ricky Alba. He was born in Norway and hasn't found a club since January 2025. So he's been unattached since the beginning of this year. He was with Sandnes Ulf in Norway in 2024, Las Vegas Lights for a few months before that, and as I said, Fredrikstad in Norway from 2019 to 2024, but a lot of clubs before that, and not long with any of them. Anyway, he also has an interesting history with the Dominican Republic. His first cap was in October 2023. From when he started 4 games in a row, and he was subbed into one after that and on the bench for one after that, and then disappeared completely from the team. So Ricky Alba seemingly off the squad. I hope I didn't bother you with too much detail there, but an interesting case. Okay, let's go to the main candidates then, and we begin with forward Dorney Romero, and he is 27 years old. He has 38 caps and a very impressive 24 goals. 24 goals in 38 caps for Dominican Republic since 2019. And he also the 4th player now who has played with Real Santa Cruz in Bolivia. That was from 2021 to 22. He's played for 2 other teams in Bolivia, as well as a team in Kazakhstan and another in Mexico. So he's been around a bit, but he was in Dominican Republic up until 2020 there. He scored 10 of their 27 goals in qualifying, at least one in each of their games. At least one in each of their games in the period that we're talking about. So from the beginning of 2024, including 4 goals in their final game, which was a 6-1 over Bermuda, 6-1 win over Bermuda. Dorney Romero started 9 of their 12 games from the start of 2024. However, he was not selected for 3 matches, including the last match. But with that scoring record, it's hard to see them not calling him up. So we think he's a definite candidate. Next, we have The first of our three possible candidates, Eric Paniagua, or Eric Japa, and he is 26 years old with 15 caps and 2 goals since 2018. And currently playing for a team in Panama. He was with a team in Bolivia before that, but with us a lot of clubs in Dominican Republic up until 2023. So he's just started to travel abroad there. Eric Japa started none of their 12 games from the start of 2024, but he was subbed in for 4 and on the bench for 2. However, he was not selected for 6 matches. Next, we have Mariano Diaz. He is 32 years old and just 2 caps for the national team since 2013. He actually has a pretty impressive resume here. Sevilla in Spain up until 2024, and Real Madrid, his 3rd stint with Real Madrid from 2018 to 23. So a very impressive resume for him. He was born in Spain, Mariano Diaz. However, he's currently unattached to a club since July of 2024. However, he did play 88 minutes of a game in March 2025. So that's a bit unusual. Often players who are unattached to a club don't even get called up. Here he is playing basically a full game 9 months after not being training with any club. Anyway, Mariano Diaz returned to the national team after a 12-year absence. I think that is the longest absence I've seen of a player from a national team or returning to a national team. He came back in 2025 and started the last of their games in March of 2025. So that is pretty interesting. A lot of interesting stories here. Okay, the third possible candidate is Carlos Ventura. He's 28 years old with 12 caps, but no goals, even though he's a forward. Been with Dominican Republic since 2021. And he's currently with Cibao in Dominican Republic since 2025. That's his 3rd stint with them. He was in Kuwait and Bolivia prior to coming back to the Dominican Republic. Carlos Ventura started 3 of their 12 games from the start of 2024, as well as subbing in for 2 and being on the bench for 3. But he was not selected for 4 matches, and those were the last 4 matches. So never good when a player is not selected coming up to a tournament. But Carlos Ventura, a possible candidate here. All right, that is the players, and we interrupt this mediacast to report on Edarlin Reyes. I promised that I would check into his starts and then got to the end of the mediacast to find that I hadn't done it. We had said he started 3 games, which I doubted because he had seemed to start more. But it is, in fact, true. He started 3 games, 3 of their 12 games from the start of 2024. He started 7 of their games in 2023. But in terms of their participation, we were only reporting from the beginning of 2024. So that is true. 3 games since the start of 2024 for Edarlin Reyes. Back to the regular viewing. Let's move on to section 3. And I want to welcome new listeners to section 3 because we're also releasing this as a short version on part 1 of Dominican Republic's players. So in the full version, we introduced the candidates and their likelihood of making the final squad. And we also summarized each position to see who has been occupying it since the 2023 Gold Cup. So for those just listening to the short version here, you can refer to the full version for reasons as to why we put the players where we're putting them. And for those who are continuing on from section 2, this basically adds as a review or acts as a review. And we're not going to concern ourselves here with the starters. That'll be our concern in part 2. But here we're just talking about the possibility of players reaching the final squad. So here we go. We start with the manager, Marcelo Nevelet. We will probably put him as a likely to definite to continue through the squad. Goalkeepers, we have definite candidate Xavier Valdez and likely candidates Miguel Lloyd and Pascual Ramirez. Those are the main candidates. We won't go into those names that are possible but unlikely or seemingly off the squad, but we will return to them if they are selected for the final squad. Defenders, we begin with a lot of central defenders because Dominican Republic uses a three-man central defense. So we have a definite candidate in Louis de Lucas, and 5 likely candidates in Cesar Garcia, Michael Sambataro, Christian Scheusinger, Noah Dollenmeyer, and Miguel Andre Beltre. Sorry, that's Miguel Angel Beltre. Those 5 likely candidates. Also 3 possible candidates in Brian Lopez, Alexander Vidal, and Alexander Romero. Moving on to left back, we have a definite candidate in Junior Firpo. He's coded as a left back, but actually mostly plays as an attacker, as a left winger or elsewhere in the attack. And we have likely candidate Michael Sambataro, who we mentioned as a central defender. So I'll just quickly explain that he's played in the 3-man defense and is their usual left back when it is a defensive position. So we put him in both categories here. Michael Sambataro, a likely candidate, along with Juan Familio Castillo. And we also have a possible candidate in Alex Siriaco. So we do have a few new players. I can't go into detail in this review, but like Juan Familia Castillo, just coming into the squad recently and potentially taking over starting positions there. So a bit of an interesting story that we talked about in part 2 or in section 2. Right back position, we have no definite candidates, but we have a likely candidate in João Urbaez, and then 2 possible candidates in Ernesto Trinidad and Guillermo de Pena. Moving on to the midfield, the formation that Dominican Republic uses is 75% of the time a 3-2-2-2-1 formation. So if you envision that in your head, you're going to see 2 defensive midfielders, 2 wingers who are usually defensemen pushing up, and then 2 attacking midfielders, but no central midfielders in that formation. So we have a lot of defensive midfielders, but not many central midfielders. 3 defensive midfielders at the likely level, none at the definite level. The 3 likely ones are Heinz Morschall, who's actually an attacking midfielder, but in this period coming back to a more defensive role. We have Angel Montes de Oca, and then Lucas Breton, all 3 of those likely candidates. Coded as a central midfielder, but really playing as the main defensive midfielder and definite candidate is Captain John Carlos Lopez, who has started all games for them since the start of 2024. We also have a possible central midfielder in Omar de la Cruz. Because they don't use a 4-3-3 formation that much, we don't have any players coded as left or right midfielders. And so we move on to attacking midfield and left attackers. So that could be, depending on the formation, an attacking winger, an attacking midfielder, or even a forward in a 4-3-3 formation. The candidates here are Ronaldo Vasquez, a definite candidate, and then 2 likely candidates in Idarlin Reyes and Juanca Pineda. And we also have we look at right attackers, no definite candidates over there. And in fact, 2 of the candidates are coded as left wingers, but we move to the right because that's where they've been playing. The first of these is likely candidate Rafael Nunez. And then we have Peter Federico Gonzalez, another of the new players just coming into the squad. And the other player coded as a left winger is possible candidate Edison Azcona. Finally, we have central attacking midfield position, which they do use sometimes. And we have no candidates here. We had one, but we moved him to the defensive midfield position. So we have no candidates that are at the possible level or higher for central attackers. We also have no secondary strikers, players coded as secondary strikers. So we move on to forwards, where we have definite candidate Dorney Romero, no candidates at the likely level, and then 3 candidates at the possible level. The first is Eric Paniagua or Eric Japa. I've seen both names used. We also have Mariano Diaz and Carlos Ventura. So those are the players. There's always 1 or 2 that are surprisingly not selected, and then 1 or 2 who are brought in late. In terms of injuries, we have Christian, the central defender, Christian Scheussenger. I'm not dead sure how to say it, but Christian, I'll go with Scheussenger. He's out with a knee injury since late February, and as of this recording on May 8th, he is still injured. So not looking good for him. He came in as a starter towards the end of the period, the end of, I'd say, mid-2024. Started a lot, but then was injured for the March games. So a bit of a concern since he was starting. And that's it for injuries. So we won't go. Yeah, I will put Christian Scheussenger in the unknown category. We don't know if he's going to recover or not. We'll have to cover that in part 2. Closing thoughts. Well, for the big teams especially, we wonder if they're going to send their best. For the smaller teams like Dominican Republic, we wonder if some of the players they've recruited from abroad, especially from Spain, will be playing in the cup. And then we're wondering if some of the new players who were just brought in towards the end, if they're going to be the starters or the players who are in the position more over the past couple of years will retain their positions. So that's really just what we're thinking about for Dominican Republic. Let's finish with a preview of part 2. So again, part 1 focused more on the candidates and their likelihood of making it. Part 2 focusing more on who is selected and who the starters will be. So we'll be looking at any notable non-selections. That's players at the likely or definite level who don't make it to the squad. Any surprise inclusions that we didn't expect. Any new players that come into the squad between now and the tournament, and then any updates on injuries with a special eye towards Christian Scheussenger. Okay, that is it. That is part 1, and we hope that helps you enjoy the Gold Cup, and we look forward to part 2. We would like to thank Future Bass for the wonderful music you hear in this podcast. The title is called Alone.